I'm Fiona Grant, 30, the afterthought of an Atlanta family. I planned my mom's 60th at a Savannah mansion. Orchids, jazz, lemon cream cake. Every detail whispered, "Please see me." They saw a target instead. Trisha passed out custom shirts, grinning. Mom said best mom ever. Dad said king of the house. Mine screamed, biggest disgrace to this family. Laughter rolled across crystal and china. I didn't cry. I folded the shirt. I lifted a thick folder. Shares worth $2 million. College funds for my niece and nephew. I tore the pages, slow and clean. Silence snapped over the room. "What are you doing?" Trisha hissed. I walked out into the humid night. For once, my hands stopped shaking. Have you ever faced something like this? Tell me in the comments. They thought I'd break. I learned how to cut ties. Top of form, bottom of form. Growing up in suburban Atlanta, I was the invisible one at every table. Our house echoed with laughter, but never mine. Trisha, 5 years older, wore her perfection like a crown. Mom adored her. The cheerleader, the prom queen, the bride at 25. Kevin, 2 years older, broke rules for sport. Dad ruffled his hair after every failure. "Boys will be boys," he'd say, proud. And me? I was the filler between their stories. At 10, I won my first science fair. I ran home clutching that gold ribbon like a miracle. Mom didn't look up from her tea. "Don't get cocky, Fiona," she said. Trisha smirked. "It's just a kids' contest." Kevin laughed until my eyes burned. That night I hid the ribbon in a drawer. Even success felt like shame in that house. When Trisha turned 16, a red convertible waited in the driveway. I got a used notebook and a talk about responsibility. Kevin got sneakers again. I got hand-me-downs again. At school, I found safety in silence. No one mocked what they couldn't hear. I joined debate club, volunteered, stacked every hour with effort. Still, Mom skipped my first big tournament. She was too busy with Trisha's pageant. Dad stayed home to fix the gutters. I performed to an empty row. Aunt Joyce, Mom's sister, was the only one who noticed. "You're doing fine, sweetheart," she'd whisper after dinners. It sounded more like pity than pride. I smiled anyway. I was hungry for any kindness, even crumbs. Every ignored birthday, every forgotten call shaped me sharper. I learned to swallow hurt until it hardened into ambition. By high school, I'd stopped waiting for applause. I studied late, dreaming of leaving. At night, I'd whisper into the dark, "One day they'll see." But the truth sat heavier each year. They didn't want to see me at all. They called me quiet, but quiet taught me how to roar. Top of form, bottom of form. College was my first taste of air. Athens, Georgia, far enough to breathe, close enough for guilt to follow. I studied event management, poured every ounce of loneliness into creating beauty. While Trisha posed with her husband and Kevin drifted through odd jobs, I built something from scratch. Order from chaos. I interned at weddings, galas, charity balls. 12-hour shifts on my feet, smiling through exhaustion. When others partied, I rearranged floral arches and checked lighting cues. Perfection became my armor. Every event was a silent plea. See me, even from afar. By 25, I launched Coastal Events, a one-woman dream. My first client was a corporate holiday dinner in a half-lit ballroom. They loved it. Word spread. Then came beach weddings, luxury retreats, and a film premiere. Within 3 years, my team grew from 1 to 30. By 5, the company was worth $20 million. I didn't brag. I just worked harder. Money wasn't what I chased. It was recognition, the kind I'd never gotten at home. So I sent it back there. When Mom's knee surgery drained their savings, I paid the $80,000 bill. No fanfare, no thank you. Just a short text, transfer received. When Trisha's kid needed braces, I wired $6,000. When Kevin's car broke down, $10,000 gone in an instant. Christmases, birthdays, school funds, I covered it all. They never asked where it came from. They just assumed I was lucky. I'd drive to family dinners, dressed sharp, makeup flawless, ready to share my wins. The new office, the magazine feature, the celebrity client. Mom would change the subject. Trisha's redecorating her kitchen, she'd gush. Dad would nod, eyes on Kevin. He's starting a business soon. My words always fell into silence. Even Aunt Joyce, the soft one, would just smile weakly. You work too much, Fiona, she'd say. Like ambition was a flaw I needed to apologize for. Still, I tried. Weekly calls to Mom, messages to Dad, invitations to my events. They'd cancel last minute. Sometimes they didn't reply at all. Once I overheard Dad tell a neighbor, Fiona's fine, I guess. Not like Trisha or Kevin. The sentence sliced deeper than any insult. But I smiled through it. I let them take and take and take, believing that one day they'd look at me and see their daughter, not their disappointment. When Mom mentioned her 60th, I saw my chance. I'd give her the night of her life. A celebration so perfect they'd have to see me. I didn't care what it cost. Money, time, sleep. This was my final audition for their love. I wasn't chasing success anymore. I was chasing forgiveness they'd never give. The mansion glowed like a dream. White columns, jazz floating through the air, crystal catching candlelight. Guests laughed, glasses clinked, and for once I felt close to peace. Every inch of the night was perfect, and it was mine. I watched Mom smile as old friends toasted her 60 years. Maybe this was it, I thought. Maybe they finally saw me. Then Trisha stood up. Her heels clicked against marble, her grin sharp. We've got a little surprise, she announced. She lifted a stack of folded shirts. Laughter rippled as she passed them out. Mom said best mom ever. Dad's king of the house. Kevin's favorite son. Aunt Joyce's family rock. Theirs sparkled with pride. Trisha's hand hovered, holding the last one. Go on, Fiona, she said, tossing it across the table. The fabric landed in my lap. I unfolded it. Black letters screamed, biggest disgrace to this family. A joke, she said. Lighten up, Mom chuckled, hiding her mouth behind her hand. Dad gave a half shrug, avoiding my eyes. Kevin snorted into his drink. Aunt Joyce clapped, once awkwardly, then stopped. Something inside me went still. The music blurred. The laughter turned distant. Every childhood memory rushed back. The ignored trophies, the quiet birthdays, the nights I swore I'd make them proud. And here they were, laughing again. I placed the shirt gently beside my plate. Funny, I said softly. My voice didn't shake. It didn't need to. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder. 10% of my company, $2 million in shares. College funds for Trisha's kids, $50,000 each. Mom's and Dad's names printed neatly across the top. The papers they didn't know they were getting tonight. What's that? Trisha asked, her smile faltering. I didn't answer. I tore the folder in half. The sound sliced through the room. Paper, shock, breath. I tore again and again until the pages fluttered to the floor like confetti. Susan gasped. David froze. Kevin's grin vanished. Aunt Joyce went pale. Trisha's voice cracked. What are you doing? I looked at her, at all of them. You think I'm a disgrace? My tone was calm, almost kind. Let's see how you do without me. I dropped the torn papers onto the table. Their faces blurred behind the tears I refused to cry. Then I turned. The mansion doors groaned as they closed behind me, and with that sound, the version of me that needed them died. They mocked me in front of strangers. I answered with silence sharper than words. Top of form. Bottom of form. By morning, my phone was chaos. 20 missed calls. Voicemails. Texts stacked like warnings. Trisha's voice came first, sharp, venomous. You ruined Mom's birthday with your tantrum. You're pathetic. Delete. Mom's message was softer, but colder. Fiona, we need to talk. What were those papers? Dad's text was blunt. You went too far. Fix this. Kevin wrote, nice stunt. Real mature. Aunt Joyce left a trembling voicemail. I didn't mean to laugh, honey. Please call me. I didn't. I poured coffee, watched the Savannah sun climb, and let their guilt buzz itself quiet. They weren't sorry. They were scared. Those papers had names, theirs, tied to money, security, legacy. And now they were gone. By afternoon, the whispers began. Trisha went public first. Her Facebook post, the drama queen ruined Mom's party, tore up important papers just for attention. Hundreds of likes. Smirking emojis. Mom and Dad didn't defend me. They joined the silence, the same weapon they'd used my whole life. Then came the rumors. She had a breakdown. She's unstable. She embarrassed the family. I watched their words spread like wildfire, each lie a spark on dry history. For years I'd stayed quiet, feeding their comfort. But this time my silence was armor, not surrender. A week later, it happened. Inc. magazine released a feature, Fiona Grant, the event planner who built a $20 million empire. The article named every debt I'd paid: Mom's hospital bills, $80,000. Trisha's kitchen remodel, $20,000. Kevin's car, $10,000. 6 months of mortgage payments, $90,000. Every forgotten check turned into evidence. The world finally saw the truth they'd buried. Emails flooded in. Strangers wrote, "You're an inspiration." Another said, "I cut off my toxic family too." Twitter trended my name, Fiona Grant. Posts read, "They mocked her, but she built an empire." Clients called, praising my strength. A charity invited me to speak. For the first time, I felt visible, not to them, but to myself. Trisha's post backfired. People commented, "You called her a disgrace after she paid your bills?" Her followers dropped. Her boutique dropped her too. Kevin's startup investors backed out, citing ethical concerns. Mom and Dad's neighbors stopped believing their stories. Even Aunt Joyce emailed, "I didn't know how much you'd given. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Apologies born of exposure aren't real. They'd spent years shaping me into their villain. Now the truth stood taller than all of them. They tore down my name in whispers. I rebuilt it in headlines. Top of form, bottom of form. 2 years later, peace no longer felt foreign. My mornings started with ocean air and quiet coffee. No messages from Trisha, no guilt from Mom, no weight from people who once called me a disgrace. Coastal events thrived. 4 offices, a team that felt like family. Not blood. Choice. When the National Women's Business Council named me Entrepreneur of the Year, I stood beneath stage lights, the crowd on their feet. 500 strangers cheering for a woman who'd once begged her parents to notice her. My dress shimmered navy blue, steady, strong. The applause felt different, not validation, but recognition of the person I'd become. I thanked my team, my clients, the strangers who'd turned my story into strength. I didn't mention my family. They weren't part of this chapter. Their names didn't belong in my victory. After the ceremony, messages poured in. A college student writing, "You gave me courage." A mother saying, "I finally left a toxic home." A man whispering through email, "I forgave myself because of you." Each note reminded me why I'd walked away. Family isn't who shares your DNA. It's who shows up when you're breaking. It's who claps when you rise. So I built a life that felt like truth. Friends who became home. Work that carried purpose. And a heart no longer begging to be seen. If you've ever been made to feel small, remember this. Your worth doesn't need witnesses. It just needs you to believe it. If you've been through this, you're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because more voices deserve to be heard. They called me a disgrace, but walking away was the most graceful thing I ever did. Top of form, bottom of form,